Welcome back to Conquering the JavaScript Interview. In this session, we're going to be diving into another must-know array method, Concat. This nifty method is all about bringing your arrays together, quite literally. It's a friendly get-together for array elements where everyone's invited. So if you're ready to see how this party starts, we're going to get going. But first, remember to check out the description down below for a link to our community membership. For $25 a month, you get access to our front-end and back-end courses when combined make our full-stack program as well as my standalone React course. I also have a couple other courses currently in the making, so keep an eye out for that. Those will come just with your membership to our community program. You're also going to get access to our Discord where you can harass me and my Covalence members for help on your coding journey, custom video content to put on YouTube, and other things as well, such as all my cat pictures. So if you're interested, check the description down below for a link to that. Otherwise, let's, like I said, dive on in. How about some lowdown on this concat method, right? We've got some arrays. We want to merge them into big one happy family without causing any drama. That's kind of like not saying it's going to mutate the original array. That's where we're going to enter the concat method, right? It's that uniter, the peacemaker, the method that takes multiple arrays and says, let's all hang out in a new array. So guess what? It's actually been around since 1997 ES or ECMAScript 1 release. That's pretty cool, pretty crazy. It's been around for that long. Again, you feel like some of these get added way later, especially if you're a newer programmer. You don't realize that some of these things have been around since the early days. So, like I said, it just smushes all these things together and returns a new array. That's all it really does. That's my algorithm breakdown for this one. Start with an array, use concat to attach one or more arrays or values, and then rejoice with your new array. And that's really all there is to it. So this will be a nice and simple one. We're going to see if we can't crank this one out in less than 20 minutes compared to my normal videos. So, yeah, we're going to roll our own, and it should be fairly straightforward to understand and to code here. So just like this will be available in the CODEPEN if you want this prompt or to see the solution afterwards or whatever you want to do. It doesn't really matter. So pick your favorite IDE or sit back and relax and enjoy the show as we discuss how this is going to go. As always, if you're going to be modifying array or any kind of object prototypes in JavaScript, it's not recommended you do so on an actual code base, but rather just for a learning implementation, interview style questions, and being able to even discuss the pros and cons, if any, of why you may or may not choose to modify prototypes in a code base on a team of people, which again, that's going to make it very unstable if you're adding random methods to array objects across a project with newer developers coming on without documentation. They won't know what's going on. You can introduce a lot of bugs to your system if you're not careful. So like I said, we do this for practice, but a lot of the times it's not something you do in the real world. So our custom concat method is going to be added to all array objects and will be a function we're going to be invoking on a given array. For example, of an input of like 1, 2, 3 of an array of values, we're going to concat the array values of 4, 5, 6, and it should just simply result in both the arrays smushed together into a new array without modifying the original. So what we're going to be doing is, first off, is creating a new array. And this is actually something that's in the description or specifications of concat, for example, and that if you can provide arguments, but if you don't provide arguments, what it ends up just doing is returning a shallow copy of the existing array on which it is called. So that's the specifications of the concat method. So we're going to say, again, we have none to infinite number of arguments. And rather than having to try and collect every single argument individually by guessing, we can make it dynamic by collecting all of the arguments, if any, into an array of arguments done by our REST operator right here. So we're going to make a new array first and foremost, and we're going to say something like array from this. The keyword this, remember in JavaScript, gets its context typically from the thing furthest to the left. In our case, it should be the array we are calling this method on. So like I said, if our input was indeed the array value of 1, 2, 3, and we were calling our method custom concat on top of this array, the keyword this would refer to the array right here, 1, 2, 3. That's what we're looking at right there. So what this is going to do is it's going to create a shallow copy of the array in which the method is called. So if all this thing did is make a shallow copy with no arguments and return that new array at the end of our method here, if I actually invoke this and save the file, we do notice, let me go ahead and add my console clear for my videos here just so I can clear the console between saves. Yeah, it just returns a shallow copy of that array, and that's exactly what the specifications of the array concat method do. So let's actually take some arguments now and smush them together, because like I said, we're going to be taking 4, 5, 6, smushing these two together, and we should get a resulting array of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So we're going to loop through each potential argument we have in our that we've gathered in our parentheses right here. I think I have autosave on. That way we'll stop doing that. And there we go. So we are going to be using a shorthand for loop here. So we're going to be simply looping through each arg of args. We're going to be using the for of syntax to make our life easy, because I don't really care about weird reindexing or things like that like I do in some of the other array methods where I do give a darn about indexes and stuff like that, indices, but I don't here, so I'm just going to get each argument individually with this nice shorthand. I'm going to say we have an if-else condition, because remember, the whole point of concat is that it can take a list of arguments which can include other arrays. And so rather than making an array of sub-arrays, unless that's your goal, we simply want to smush them together. So if it's not an array, we have a very thing, if what we're looping through is not an array, like it's a string, it's a single number or something like that, all we have to do is push it into our new array like this and call it a day, right? So just push the argument itself into the new array. However, if the argument is an array, for example, 4, 5, 6, we need to spread that array out, so we smush it into a new array altogether. So we're going to say new array dot push. Rather than the arg itself, if it is an array, we flatten that array out as individual arguments into our new array. And to test this condition right here is we're going to use another array method called isArray. So if the argument we're passing in is another array itself, we flatten that sucker out and push it into our new array. If it's a singular argument that is not an array, we simply push it into our new array and call it a day. And believe it or not, that is all we need to do. I realize I've had this dumb error right behind me this entire time. Save the file, check it out. We get our smushed array of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. That was because the argument we passed in was an array, which means we're going to flatten that out and concat it into the array. So what other shenanigans do we have going on here? So we're going to take array 1 of string value ABC, and it looks like this time my prompt is going to have us do two args to make sure it still works. So I'm going to copy and paste some down here. Again, you can grab this from the CODEPEN that can be found in the description down below. Save that file, run it, and yep, A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H, I has been all concated together. Let's see if we can take an empty array and concat 1, 2, 3. Should one of our arrays be empty? I don't know why I had to copy an empty array when I could have just deleted and wrote a set of square brackets. 1, 2, 3. Yes, that succeeded. That successfully did its job indeed. And yeah, that's right. We haven't tested a single value yet. So let's take this input array and make it an array value of 1, 2, 3. Take this value of 4. We should smush that in together. Let's confirm that if I pass in a collection of comma-separated parameters. Now note the parameters for the concat are not inside of an array. They are individual parameters that I'm passing in the custom concat. It collects them and pushes them into our new array without any kind of issue, which is ballin'. So yeah, that really all there is to it for this particular one right here. It is a straightforward and simple implementation. It's just a matter of understanding your point of concat. This is great for things like combining data sets. If you got a bunch of data sets you want to analyze as one, it's really good. This is something that you could possibly do a lot when it comes to state management. If you have any kind of front-end frameworks that have state management and you got to merge some state arrays, very common operation, and that you cannot mutate those arrays or those state values. Concat is a perfect tool for that as well. But remember, we're creating a new array in memory right there, so that new array, if we're dealing with huge data sets, can have a performance hit if you're not careful. And it's also important to remember that the non-mutative aspect of this whole thing, right? It's not going to change your original arrays, which is great for state management, but sometimes you want it to, or you might expect it to, but it doesn't. So Yeah, that about wraps it up for this Concat walkthrough. So whether you're looking to merge arrays for fun or for work, Concat's a tool that's both powerful and pretty easy to not only implement yourself, but to use and understand. So if you've enjoyed this coding soiree, smash that thumbs up button, do all the YouTube stuff, hit subscribe for more JavaScript joyrides, keep coding, stay curious, and blend those arrays like a pro. So happy coding, everybody.